Warrior Cats is listening to us. 2 months ago, I made a tweet pointing out the fact that Warrior Cats books reference otters, but we've never seen them. I made a request. Show me the otters! And my argument was so strong that only 2 months later, in the newest book, we got them. Obviously, I'm joking. That was most definitely a complete coincidence. But what I'm not joking about is the statement, Warrior Cats is listening. There were a few things that happened in this new book, Thunder, that I think could have been the result of the writing team responding to fan feedback. So in this video, I wanted to take a look at those things and give my thoughts. Of course, this is all speculation. Don't take anything I theorize about the writers as fact. First up, Tree. He is the mediator of the Warrior Cats clans. His job is helping dispute conflicts between cats to reach compromises. At least, that's how it was established in the A Vision of Shadows arc. But in the Broken Code, while he has a role in the books because he's related to Rootspring and the sisters, he doesn't do much mediating. And it becomes a common joke in the fandom that the writers completely forgot about that part of his character. But in Thunder, Tree is called in for duty once more, and the writing feels very self-aware about the fact that his job was forgotten. Needleclaw says it slipped Leafstar's mind, and Bramblestar says, I don't know why no cat has suggested it. And later Cherryfall and Oakfur make fun of the fact that he hasn't actually done any mediating in a long time. All this just screams the authors lightheartedly acknowledging they forgot. In fact, all the scenes where Tree actually mediates are completely off screen. Almost like they never intended to write any because it ended up being a last minute addition into the book. It just feels like one of the writers either saw what the fans were saying, or just realized on their own, Tree hasn't done much mediating. Either way, a common complaint with Tree's character was acknowledged. Next topic, Squirrel Star. This one is pretty straightforward. Throughout the years that the Broken Code books were being published, the attitude in the fandom was overwhelmingly anti-Bramblestar, because Bramblestar, especially in the release of Squirrelflight's Hope, was very inconsiderate of Squirrelflight's feelings. No one really wanted to root for him as a character. So rather than people hoping for Bramblestar's return in the Broken Code, we saw more and more people just wanting Squirrelflight to be leader instead. Recent years, Warrior Cats has been putting a lot more attention into which cats the fandom actually likes, whether they're selling merchandise, or even using fan feedback on Super Edition and novella choices. I think it's not a huge leap in logic to say they probably saw which way the winds were blowing in the case of Squirrelflight and Bramblestar. Squirrelflight got both a plush and mini, and Bramblestar has no merchandise at all. Which leads to what happened in Shadow and Thunder. Brambleclaw has stepped down for being leader, and the new leader is Squirrelstar. Whether they can tell any interesting stories with Squirrelstar, we will see. But regardless, I feel like this is a clear example of the writers taking a fan favorite character and giving them attention in order to please us. And believe me, I am pleased. And the final topic I want to touch on is female characters. Now this topic, I have no idea the degree in which fan feedback affected the writing, but I want to include it because there are a couple of positive things I want to say about the way they handled the two female protagonists in this book that are better than they've done in the past. First, Sunbeam. What they did with her in this book was incredible. Separating Nightheart from her so she could grow in the ThunderClan on her own terms? It's genius. My biggest complaint with Shadow and Riverstar's home were that both she-cat characters opted to leave their home to be with the Tom, despite having reasons to want to stay. And while Riverstar's hope is a done deal, Shadow's mistake was corrected by giving Sunbeam more reasons to stay. Now I'm 100% certain that feedback on Shadow and Riverstar's hope had zero impact on Thunder, because these books are all from this year. But what I do think could have had an impact on Thunder was feedback to Bristlefrost back in the Broken Code. A common complaint in the second half of the arc was that Bristlefrost's character switched to mostly just being Rootspring's love interest, especially so in Darkness Within. So to avoid a similar Book 4 blunder, they made Sunbeam's character in this book be about her individuality instead of just her love for Nightheart. And she's a better character as a result. Props to the writing team. Also, there is Frostpaw. I just really want to appreciate this one scene with her, where she wants to blame herself for falling victim to Splashtail, but Nightheart and Rook assure her that it isn't her fault in any way. It's very reassuring to see the books take a stance against victim blaming, because they haven't always done that with their female characters caught in abusive relationships. Of course, there is the situation with Squirrelflight and Bramblestar, where the two cats often share the blame, despite Squirrelflight clearly being the victim. There is Sharpclaw and Leafstar's deputy leader relationship, where Sharpclaw completely disrespects her role as leader, often going behind her back, and somehow, at the end of the book, it's Leafstar's fault, because she didn't have enough faith in herself, and he had to go behind her back to challenge her, to be sure of her conviction that she was doing the right thing. I still don't understand this one. And worst of all, there is the situation with Spotted Paw and Thistleclaw, where her takeaway from the abusive relationship was that she was foolish and blind. Like it was her fault for falling for him. Like it was her fault for being groomed. This is the last paragraph of the book. They left it on this note. I want to believe the writing team heard our concerns, and that Frostpaw having this positive message against victim blaming is a light at the end of the tunnel. It gives me hope that they're working towards better and more thought out messages for the readers. If they keep this up, that would be wonderful. Alright, bye everyone.